Hey Facebook family, this is Latoya again. I was just coming to give you guys an update on what's happening today. Remember last night I told you guys that they did find infection. I'm not really sure of what kind of infection it is so far, but they did change me over to another antibiotic called vancomycin is the name of the drug. This is my second dose of it. It started around 10 o'clock this morning, and pretty much everything is still the same as it's been the past 11 days. We're just trying to wait and see. I am getting frustrated with one doctor in particular, but I thank God for the other doctors being so thorough in their research and, trying to help me figure out what in the world is going on with me. As I told you guys before, that normally when I'm in a sickle cell crisis, I never run a fever. And for the past 2.5 weeks now, I have had this fever coming out of nowhere, and nobody seemed to know where they were coming from until now. My blood count is not where it should be after receiving an exchange blood transfusion on Tuesday, and so I'll possibly be getting some more blood today sometime, and I don't know how much longer I'll be taking the vancomycin. But like I've been telling you guys before, I put everything concerning this situation and my health right now in the hands of God, because I know that in His hands, that's the best place that I can be. I'm still trying to stay positive about what is going on with my sickle cell disease, and I'm always going to continue to be proactive when it comes to my life and my health. I just thank God that I have a supportive family and a group of nurses and other doctors that seem to care about me as the patient and just as a person in general. Nobody wants to hear that they have an infection somewhere, and it just bothers me that one of my doctors, he acts like the infection is not a big deal when you see this stuff is growing in my blood. I've repeated this numerous times on the tapes that I have been doing for you guys, that back in 2004 I was in a wheelchair, all because it took them 6 months to figure out that I had a staph infection. It all started just like this particular situation did. All started with a low-grade fever that we couldn't keep down, and that we didn't know where it was coming from, and all the while my white blood cell count kept going on up and up, and I was taking oral antibiotics that were not the right type of drug to be treating me for the particular staph infection that I had. And after doing this for 6 months, we finally figured out, oh no, she has a staph infection, and she needs to get her hip taken out, because that's what where the infection had built up in, and it was in my left hip joint. So I was in a wheelchair for 3 months with no joint in that hip at all. I was on oral and IV antibiotics, and in the joint where they took my hip out, they replaced it with this thing called a spacer. Well, the spacer was filled with antibiotics to, specifically kill the infection that was in my hip joint. And so I had to attack that infection 3 different ways in order to save my life, basically, because if that infection had hit my heart, that would have been nothing else that they could have done for me. And that infection was caused by the device called a portacath, and portacath is how I receive my blood transfusions, how I get my IV fluids, and how I receive IV medications when I'm in the hospital, and even, they draw blood to do lab work off of it at the doctor's office. The funny thing about that port was it still worked beautifully to just be able to draw blood and push medicines and everything else that they had to do. It worked fine. And so on the outside, it appeared to be nothing wrong with that particular portacath. But that is what caused my staph infection. Remember, I think I showed you what a port looks like. And here's a view of the port that I have now in my left chest. The first port was on the right side. You know, it's an awesome thing to have the port because I don't have any veins or anything left. And I just pray that it's not my port again that's infected. This is kind of a scary thing, because even when I think back to 2004 and having to be in that wheelchair, and you know, that's not what you want to be doing. You know, my dad is here with me right now, and I thank God for my daddy because he has stuck by me every step of the way, and he's been there not only for me but also for my son. And, you know, and I love him for that, because this is not an easy thing to go through. And when my family sees me suffering, you know, they're suffering along with me. It may not be physically, but they are suffering along with me, just to have to watch me go through the stuff that I've gone through with having sickle cell anemia. You know, my dad's not feeling so great today himself, but I love him and I thank him for supporting me. And you know, no matter what's going on, I can count on him to be there for me. And again, I want to thank the nurses that, you know, they take the time, they get to know me, and you know, they even advocate to doctors when they feel like something is not going right with me. And I really do appreciate that. That means a whole lot to know that, you know, you have professional people on your team that actually care about you, and you're not just a patient or just a chart number or just some insurance money for them. And I wish Dr. Akemian was more like that. And so on that note, you know, I'm going to keep this man in my prayers. But at the same time, I'm going to weigh my options as far as he is concerned. But I do want to thank God, you know, that Dr. Aarons and my infectious disease doctor are listening to me, and you know, they're not disregarding things that I have said like Dr. Akemian has, you know. And it's sad when you have a doctor that treats a patient like that. That's not a very good example that he sets as far as being an MD. And hopefully, I hope for the sake of his other patients that he changes, you know. But if he doesn't, then I just leave him in God's hands. I just know I'm not going to be the one to let him just do or say anything and disregard what I say to him as his patient. Because if I'm telling him something, I'm telling him that out of pure concern for my own health and for my life and for my body. And so on that note, you guys, I will keep you updated on what's happening with me, and you know, and we'll go from that point. And I do thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to say concerning my sickle cell, and for the prayers that you guys have sent up and the kind words and encouragement you guys have been sending me. I really appreciate that, and I will continue to keep you all in my prayers as well. And thank you for continuing to keep my family in your prayers. And we're going to pray, you know, on each other's behalf. We're going to pray with each other, you know, because I need you to know that while y'all praying, I am most definitely praying over my life. You know, my life is not in God's hands, and I speak life over my body, over my spirit, and over my soul. And this fight is long way from over, believe me. I done been through too much to give up now, and God has brought me through too much to give up on him now. And you know, in spite of every negative thing that has been going on here lately, I still give God the praise, because I know I got the victory. And love you all, and I'll give you a glimpse of what the new meds are looking like. And I'm going to say goodbye to you for now, but I'll probably be back on here posting again, especially since I got the laptop back running. Don't tell HP that though. And I'll talk to you later. And that's Daddy sitting right there with me, and here's a glimpse of the good old IV pole with the bag of antibiotics and IV fluids are going in. And so, on that note, I will. Thanks for the prayers. Talk to you later.